It was supposed to be the proudest night of my career, but instead, it became the moment everything I thought I knew about my family, my past, and even myself collapsed in a single breath. The ballroom lights of the Capitol Hilton glittered like diamonds, reflecting off hundreds of champagne glasses raised in my honor. And as I stepped up to accept an award that took me 20 years to earn, 4 federal agents cut through the crowd like a blade. They didn't shout, they didn't run, they just walked with the slow, terrible confidence of people who already knew exactly what they'd find. Elena Ward. Their voices were calm, too calm. "Ma'am, you need to come with us. Immediately." I didn't understand at first, not until they showed me the screen inside their mobile command truck. A grainy live feed. 2 masked men breaking into my remote facility, the property I built from the ground up, the one no one was supposed to know even existed. And then my phone buzzed. A text message from my sister. "Sold your empty warehouse for $350K. They wired the money. Enjoy the surprise, sis." In that moment, something inside me went still. A quiet, cold stillness I had never felt before. Because my sister didn't just sell a building. She sold a federal data vault worth $14 million. She had no right to touch it, no right to access it, no idea what she had just unleashed. And that was only the first mistake. There are truths behind this story. Family truths that even the agents in that truck weren't ready to hear. Secrets my sister thought she buried. Choices my parents hoped would never surface. And one revelation, so shocking, so deeply rooted in betrayal, that you'll understand why I had no choice but to watch everything burn. Before we go deeper, if you're new here, take a second to subscribe to When Family Breaks. These stories are real, raw, and if life gets busy, subscribing makes sure you can always come back to finish them. Now, you might think you already know where this is going, but trust me, what happened next is not what you expect, not even close. And the moment you hear the truth that's coming, you'll understand why this story could only end one way. The air inside the mobile command truck felt colder than the ballroom I'd just been pulled out of. Not physically colder, though the hum of industrial-grade air conditioning certainly didn't help, but colder in the way a hospital hallway feels cold. Sterile, clinical, a place where truth is extracted whether you're ready or not. I sat at a metal table, bolted into the floor, my award still in my hand, its crystal edges digging into my palm. Moments ago, people were clapping for me. Now, agents were preparing to interrogate me. Special Agent Reeves, the one with the silver hair and a voice as steady as a metronome, placed a tablet in front of me. "Ms. Ward," he said, "this feed is coming directly from your remote storage facility. 20 minutes ago, an unauthorized breach triggered a federal-level alarm." I leaned forward. The footage flickered, 2 masked men cutting through the secondary lock, the one hidden behind the false utility panel, a lock only a handful of people even knew existed. My stomach dropped. That's happening now?" I asked. Reeves nodded. "Liv, they bypassed the exterior fence. They're attempting entry into the main corridor." My mind raced. That facility wasn't a simple warehouse. It housed off-grid backup servers for federal research partners, a project I'd spent 6 years building, securing, and protecting. A project no one outside my professional circle should have known existed. And yet here were two strangers slicing through its defenses. I forced a breath. If someone is targeting the facility, you have the wrong suspect. I haven't given those codes to anyone. That's what we hope to determine, Reeves replied, because the system flags suggest the sale of this property was executed by an individual connected to you. He turned the tablet around again, this time showing a digital document, a sales contract, stamped, signed, notarized electronically. My name was on it. The room tilted. That's not my signature, I whispered. Before he could respond, my phone buzzed again from where an agent had tossed it onto the table. Reeves allowed me to check it, but watched me closely. It was the same text I'd seen minutes earlier, illuminated like a cruel joke. Sold your empty warehouse for $350K money wired. You're welcome. Lily, my younger sister, 26 years old, charming, reckless, always rescued by my parents, no matter how badly she failed. And now, she had sold a federal asset under my name. I felt my throat close, not in fear of what was happening to the facility, but in the sudden, crushing realization that my sister had had access to something she never should have touched. Reeves watched my face. You recognize the sender? She's my sister, I said quietly. And she believes the facility is empty, because that's what it looks like. I replied, rubbing my forehead. A run-down structure with no windows, no visible security, just a fence and an external camera. That's by design. The less attention it attracts, the safer it is. Reeves folded his arms. And who would she have needed to complete the sale? I exhaled slowly. To forge this contract, she'd need corporate documents, legacy paperwork, stuff I haven't used in years, stuff I left locked away in a fireproof safe at my parents' house, back before I had my own attorneys. Reeves raised an eyebrow. And who has access to that safe? The answer came to me, heavy as an anvil lily. And our Aunt Martha, the family archivist, the woman who kept every document, every certificate, every scrap of paper anyone in the family touched. She always insisted on helping with important paperwork. She always downplayed my concerns. She always believed we should share everything for the good of the family. I felt the pieces shifting, clicking, locking into place in a way that made me sick. Reeves tapped the tablet again. My team believes the sale paperwork was submitted from a device registered at an address in Clearwater, Florida. Does that mean anything to you? Clearwater. Lily's on vacation there, I said, voice thin. With Martha. The room went still. Reeves spoke gently this time. Ms. Ward, given what we're seeing, this may not be a foreign breach. It might be a domestic case involving fraudulent transfer of federal property by someone very close to you. I stared at the footage. The intruders were almost through the secondary lock. The hum of tactical radio chatter filled the truck. Agents checked gear, prepared teams. Time was shortening. Reeves leaned in. We need to confirm intent. We need to know who orchestrated this. Would your sister speak to you? I swallowed. Yes. She always takes my calls. Good, he said, because the next step, he placed a secure headset on the table, is getting her to tell us exactly how she sold something that was never hers. The facility feed beeped. One of the intruders slipped through the door. Reeves stood. Ms. Ward, we make the call now. The secure headset felt heavier than it should have. Like the weight wasn't in the plastic, but in what the call could reveal. I slipped it on slowly, watching Agent Reeves give a subtle nod to the technician behind him. The recording system activated with a soft click, a sound so small, so harmless, yet capable of changing the trajectory of entire lives. "Whenever you're ready, Ms. Ward," Reeves said quietly. I tapped Lily's name on my screen. 3 rings. Then her face filled my phone, bright, sunburned, and glowing with the kind of carefree happiness only someone with no sense of consequences could radiate. "Elena," she laughed, swirling a drink with a pineapple on top. "Wow, you never FaceTime. What's going on? Did you get my surprise?" "Lily," I said, keeping my voice steady, "I need you to tell me something. Did you physically go to the warehouse before selling it?" She blinked, then burst out laughing. "Why would I do that? I saw it years ago. It's a trash heap, total eyesore. Honestly, I'm impressed anyone wanted it at all." Behind her, I saw a flash of turquoise ocean, then the shadow of someone moving through the rental villa. A woman's voice called out, warm, syrupy, familiar. "Aunt Martha," Lily shouted over her shoulder. "Martha, Elena's calling." Then she turned back to me. "You're welcome. By the way, you always complain about being overwhelmed, and now you've got an extra $350. You should be thanking me." I felt my pulse thudding in my ears. "Lily," I said slowly, "how did you sign the sale contract? Where did you get the authorization?" "Oh, that." She waved the question off as if I'd asked her about the weather. "Martha found some old company papers in Mom and Dad's safe. You know, the ones you signed back when you started your business. She said they were basically the same thing you use now. We scanned them, copied your signature, created a digital resolution, and boom," she snapped her fingers. "Done. Easy." Behind her, Martha finally stepped into view. "Elena," she said warmly, "honey, don't be so dramatic. You were wasting that building. Lily needed a win, and you've always had more than enough." More than enough. For a moment, the words didn't register. Then they did, and they burned. "Martha," I said quietly, "did you tell Lily she had the legal right to sell my property?" "Of course she did," Lily chirped. "She said it was fine. She said families share things." She lowered her voice conspiratorially. "And between us, I think she was worried you'd say no if we asked. This way, just save time." I felt something inside me shift. Not break, not shatter, just shift. The way a foundation moves right before a building collapses. "Lily," I said, "did you read any of the property details? Any of the documents? Anything about the site's purpose?" "That junkyard," she snorted. "Why would I read about a storage dump? We already spent the deposit on the boat. By the way, 70 grand for a 40-foot cruiser. Dad said we deserve something nice. After all the stress." The technician behind Reeves typed something quickly, capturing every word. I felt the room tilt. Not because of shock, but because of clarity. My sister, my aunt, my parents, they had all been involved. Every one of them. And they believed they had the right to strip mine anything I built because they'd once raised me. I tightened my grip on the phone. "Lily," I said softly, "that building is not a storage dump." I paused, choosing each word with surgical precision. "That facility houses secure data infrastructure for federal partners. There are no windows because it is a controlled site. There is no signage because it is classified." Her smile faltered. "Wait, what?" "You didn't sell an abandoned warehouse. I continued. You fraudulently transferred a protected federal asset, and the people who bought it just broke into it an hour ago. The color drained from her face. From behind her, Martha leaned closer to the screen. Her eyes narrowed. Elena, that's ridiculous. Don't try to scare her. But Lily wasn't hearing her. Her breathing sped up. Her hand started shaking. Her eyes darted around the room like a trapped animal. Elena, is this a joke? Tell me it's a joke. It's not, I said, and there's more. The system flagged the sale as suspicious because your document trail didn't match my records. So when the breach happened, the alarm went straight to the FBI. Lily swallowed hard. The FBI, she whispered. Behind me, as if on cue, the tactical radio crackled. Secondary lock breached. Team Alpha moving in. Lily heard it. Martha heard it. They both froze. Elena, Martha said slowly, you need to fix this. You need to tell them we made a mistake. I didn't make the mistake, I replied. And I can't stop what's coming. Reeves stepped closer. He didn't have to signal anything. Lily saw the FBI emblem behind me on one of the screens. Her face crumpled. Elena, what do I do? She whispered. And I realized this was just the beginning. Because the person who told Lily to do this, the person who orchestrated the sale, the person who convinced her I didn't deserve my own property, wasn't Lily at all. The realization hung in the air like a storm cloud, heavy, charged, waiting to break open. Lily wasn't the mastermind. She was impulsive, naive, careless, but not cunning. Someone else had guided her hand, someone older, someone who knew exactly which papers to grab, which signatures to copy, and exactly how to convince Lily she was doing the right thing. Aunt Martha stepped closer to the phone, blocking part of Lily from view. Elena, she said, her tone shifting into that syrupy sweetness she used whenever she wanted something. Your sister made a mistake, a small one, but this is still family. We can fix it quietly. Behind her, Lily looked anything but calm. Her fingers trembled around her drink, ice clicking against the glass like distant gunfire. A small one, I whispered. You forged federal property documents. Martha's eyes flashed just for a moment, a flicker of something hard, cold, calculated. Elena, honey, she murmured, no one forged anything. You signed those papers years ago. I kept them safe. All we did was repurpose them. Repurpose? The way she said it made my skin crawl. Martha, I said, you had no right to touch my corporate documents. Oh, don't be dramatic. She waved her hand dismissively. You weren't using that place, and Lily needed something to get her life back on track. We're family. We help each other. It's not as if you were going to miss it. I stared at her, unable to speak for a moment. Behind me, the technician monitoring the call pulled off his headset and whispered to Reeves, she's admitting intent. We're getting all of this. But Martha kept talking, oblivious to the trap she was walking into. You've always been so independent, she continued. Your parents were worried you'd end up alone. You don't ask for help, and you don't offer it either. So this sale, this transfer, this was our way of balancing things. Lily deserves something, too. Lily flinched. Even she didn't seem convinced by that justification. I leaned forward. Martha, did you tell Lily I didn't deserve the building? Her lips curved into a tight smile. I told her you didn't need it. She corrected. There's a difference. You've built a good life. Elena, we're proud of you. But you forget that the family supported you when you were young. This is just restitution. That word. Again. The same poison I'd heard from other toxic families, in other stories. Restitution. As if success were a debt. As if my achievements belonged to them. As if the years I spent working night shifts, studying until dawn, saving every penny somehow counted less than their supposed sacrifices. I breathed out slowly. Martha, listen carefully. This isn't about money. This is about a federal crime. Lily's voice cracked. Martha, you didn't say anything about federal stuff. You told me it was abandoned. Martha stiffened. Lily, stop talking. No, Lily cried, now fully unraveling. You told me Elena was selfish. You told me she wouldn't mind. You said we'd finally have something of our own. The truth spilled out like broken glass. Messy, sharp, impossible to ignore. Lily, I said gently, did you sign the contract yourself? I did, she whispered. Martha filled in everything. I just clicked. She said it was legal because I'm family. Reeves stepped closer, signaling to the technician to tag the timestamp. Martha's face contorted. Lily, stop. You don't know what you're saying. But Lily was past the point of silence. It wasn't my idea, she cried. Martha said you didn't appreciate everything the family did for you. She said selling the warehouse would make things fair. Fair. That word cut deeper than any accusation. I took a breath, keeping my voice steady. Lily, where are Mom and Dad? Lily hesitated. Then the phone tilted as she handed it off. I saw the villa's wide glass doors, the expensive furniture, the untouched fruit bowls, the wide smiles, carved into a life they believed they deserved. My mother appeared first, wrapped in a floral robe. My father followed, sunburned and slightly drunk. Sweetheart, my mother cooed, we were just about to call you. Listen, about the sale. She paused, noticing the background behind me, the screens, the tactical maps, the agents moving with controlled urgency. Elena, where are you? In a federal command truck, I said calmly, because your daughter committed wire fraud and triggered a national security alarm. My father laughed, a sharp, humorless sound. Oh, please, it's a warehouse. Your aunt said it was useless. We trusted her. I stared at them. You trusted the one person who always pushed you to take from me. I said softly, and now you've taken more than you can ever repay. Their faces darkened confusion mixed with dawning fear. Reeves stepped closer, speaking just loud enough for them to hear. Mr. and Mrs. Ward, this call is being recorded, and after hearing your statements, we will need to ask you some questions shortly. Lily gasped. Martha froze. My parents blanched. Elena, my mother whispered, voice trembling. What's going to happen to us? I looked at her, at all of them, and for the first time in my life, they were the ones asking me for mercy. But they had no idea that the worst truth, the deepest, most devastating betrayal hadn't even surfaced yet. Not yet. The room inside the command truck grew impossibly quiet. The kind of silence that comes after an explosion, not outside, but inside people. Shock, guilt, fear, settling into place like smoke after a fire. My parents stood frozen in the villa's soft glow. Lily trembling with a drink still in her hand. And Aunt Martha, the calmest of all, was already calculating her next move. Elena, my mother whispered, we didn't know. We didn't realize it was that serious. Oh, I met her eyes through the screen. You didn't ask, I said softly. You never ask. You just take. Before my father could respond, Agent Reeves leaned closer, nodding politely but firmly. Mr. and Mrs. Ward, we will need both of you to remain available. This is now part of an active federal investigation. My father bristled. Now, hold on, investigation. We're taxpayers. We didn't break anything. I kept my voice calm, steady. Dad, you spent $70,000 of stolen money. It wasn't stolen, he argued. It was family money. You weren't using it. Martha tapped Lily's arm sharply, as if telling her to stay silent, then turned her sweetest smile toward me. Elena, darling, think this through. This can still be undone. We can fix the paperwork, return the funds, and say it was a misunderstanding. No one needs to get in trouble. Agent Reeves didn't even bother turning off the mic. That is not how federal property violations work. Ma'am, her smile tightened barely, just enough to reveal the crack underneath. Elena, she said slowly, I've looked after your family for years. Sacrificed time, money, and effort. I was the one who helped your parents when you ran off to start your big career. And this is how you repay me, by letting them be interrogated like criminals. Her words hit with surgical intent. She wanted me to fold. She wanted me to protect them, protect her. She wanted me to absorb the blame, because that's what I'd always done. But something had shifted in me tonight. You didn't help my parents, I said quietly. You manipulated them. You've always manipulated them. Martha scoffed. Oh, please. If I truly manipulated them, do you think you'd be standing where you are? You think they supported your career? They only bragged about you when it made them look good. The rest of the time, they were ashamed you didn't stay close to home. Like a good daughter. My mother flinched at that. That's not true. But Martha cut her off sharply. It is, and you know it. For the first time, that night, my parents didn't defend themselves. They looked away, embarrassed, exposed. Reeves folded his arms. Ms. Ward, he said slowly, we need to determine exactly who orchestrated the sale. Your sister executed it. But the intent appears to trace back to your aunt. Lies. Martha snapped. She's twisting everything. Lily acted on her own. Lily stiffened. No, I didn't. The words came out small, shaky, but clear enough to land like a stone dropped in water. Martha turned to her, eyes blazing. Don't you dare! But Lily didn't stop. You told me Elena had too much. You told me she didn't respect the family. You said selling the warehouse would make things even. Martha barked. You said it was our chance. Lily cried. You said Elena wouldn't fight it. You said she'd just replace it with something bigger. My father's face collapsed into his hands. My mother's lips trembled. Reeves exchanged a look with his team, and I could practically feel the shift the moment a federal case tightens around the right target. Martha saw it too, and her composure shattered. You think you can throw me under the bus? She hissed at Lily. You ungrateful child. I practically raised you. Your parents were useless. Enough, I said sharply. The words sliced through the chaos. Everyone stopped. Slowly, deliberately. I leaned closer to the screen. Martha, I said, you didn't raise us. You used us. You used their guilt. You used my success. And you used Lily's desperation. She glared at me, eyes narrowing into thin slits. You always thought you were smarter than me, she muttered. But you're just a scared little girl who ran away. And deep down, you know your family only came to me because you were never there. Her voice dripped with venom. For a moment, my chest tightened, a flicker of old wounds, old doubts. But then I saw the fear beneath her anger. Not fear of prison, not fear of consequences. Fear of losing control. Reeves stepped forward. "Ms. Ward," he said, addressing Martha directly, "you have the right to remain silent. I suggest you consider using it." Martha's jaw clenched. She looked at the agents, then at Lily, then back at me. This was the moment she could have apologized. The moment she could have tried to salvage what little dignity she had left. Instead, she spat out the most revealing words yet. "Elena will protect us. She always does. She's too soft to let her family fall apart." I stared at her and realized she truly believed that. She still believed she owned me, my loyalty, my success, my future. But she didn't know what kind of night this was. Before I could respond, the tactical feed behind me crackled. "Alpha Team has reached the inner corridor. Stand by." Everyone on the screen froze. "Elena," my mother whispered. What does that mean?" I looked into her frightened eyes. "It means," I said softly, "that the consequences you thought would never reach you are already here. And what happened next in Florida and at my facility would shatter whatever illusions my family still clung to, because the arrests hadn't even started yet." The moment the tactical feed lit up, every voice, every excuse, every accusation, every desperate attempt to shift blame fell away. On the screen behind me, the grainy image sharpened into something chillingly clear. 2 men stood inside the entry corridor of my facility. Not criminals from a spy movie, not trained saboteurs, just 2 scavengers. Ordinary men with bolt cutters, backpacks, and the foolish confidence of people who believed they'd stumbled onto a gold mine. They were pointing their flashlights at the cooling towers, muttering to each other about crypto rigs and salvage value. They had absolutely no idea how much trouble they were in. Then, like a shadow materializing from the darkness, the first FBI agent appeared behind them. Black tactical gear, night vision visor, weapon ready, federal agent's hands. Where we can see them, the 2 men froze, their flashlights clattering to the floor. In the villa, I heard Lily gasp. My parents shrank back from the screen. Even Martha looked rattled for the first time that night. Reeves nodded at the feed. They breached the inner corridor. That triggered level 2 security. We couldn't wait. Another agent moved in, and another, in seconds. The scavengers were pinned against the wall, hands zip-tied behind their backs, faces pale with shock. "We didn't know," one of them shouted. "We thought it was abandoned." The audio crackled. "We have 2 in custody." Continuing sweep. I watched the scene unfold, a surreal combination of relief and anger building inside me. Because if Lily hadn't sold that property, if Martha hadn't schemed, none of this would be happening. None of these men would be facing federal charges. And yet, they weren't the root of this disaster. The real breach was happening in the villa. My father stepped forward on the screen, voice trembling with frustration. "Elena, how are we supposed to know any of this? It looks like a dump. You never told us what it really was." I held his gaze. "That's the point. Security by deception. The fewer people who know, the safer it is. And you never asked." Before he could respond, the tactical feed shifted to a new angle, showing a 3rd man outside the facility, near a pickup truck loaded with unmarked crates. He was yelling into a phone. Reeves nodded. "That's the broker, the one who arranged the purchase." The audio zoomed in. I don't care what she said. She signed the papers. We paid full cash. If this goes south, it's on her. She guaranteed it. Guaranteed. One word. One perfect indicator of guilt. Reeves tapped the screen. "That man is Nicholas Grant, owner of a property spec company called Harbor and Pine Holdings. They've been under investigation for predatory acquisitions. We suspected fraudulent transfers. Tonight confirms it. Martha stiffened. I've heard of him, she said quickly. He's very reputable. Reeves turned his gaze to her cold, unblinking. He's been linked to 2 federal investigations, including one from last spring involving forged inheritances. Lily made a small, broken sound. Martha, you told me he was trustworthy. Martha's jaw tightened. He paid top dollar. You won't get deals like that with legitimate buyers. It slipped out too quickly, too easily, and Lily heard it. All of it. You knew, she whispered. You knew this wasn't fully legal. Martha's silence was all the answer she needed. Behind me, the tactical audio continued. Grant is in custody, vehicle secured, preparing transport. One by one, every person involved in the sale was being held accountable. Everyone except the people sitting on the villa couch. Lily was crying now, her tears streaking through her makeup. Elena, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I thought Martha was helping me. I thought she knew how to fix things. I closed my eyes for a moment, because that part, at least, I believed. Lily wasn't innocent, but she wasn't malicious either. She was a pawn, a gullible, reckless pawn. But Martha, she was something else entirely. I opened my eyes. Lily, I said gently, the buyers are being arrested. The facility is secured, but the fraud didn't start with them. It started with you and with Martha. Martha's face twisted in anger. You think you're better than us, she spat. That's the problem. Always has been. You think your fancy job makes you untouchable. But family comes first. Family has rights. Rights, I repeated softly. You think you have rights to my work, my property, my life. She lifted her chin. We raised you. You did not raise me, I said calmly. You belittled me. You second-guessed me. You used my success to prop up your own failures. And now you're shocked it's falling apart. My mother's voice broke in, trembling. Elena, please, what's going to happen to Lily? To us, Reeves answered before I could. That depends on full cooperation. But understand this case does involve federal contracts. The consequences will be significant. My parents sank back, their faces drained of color. And then the moment that sealed everything, the tactical radio crackled again. All parties involved in the unauthorized sale have been identified. We are issuing warrants for all individuals who profited from the transaction. My father's voice cracked. We spent some of the money. How much? Reeves asked. My mother whispered the number. 70,000. Reeves nodded gravely. Then you fall under the category of financial beneficiaries. You will be part of the investigation. My mother covered her mouth. My father slumped back. But it was Martha who broke first. This is ridiculous, she shouted. I won't go down for this. This is Lily's fault. She signed everything. And in that moment, in her panic, her desperation, her unraveling, she revealed the truth we hadn't yet heard. A truth that turned the entire investigation upside down. Elena is the reason we did it. Martha screamed. She owed us that building. She owed this family. She promised us. Everyone went silent. Promised. I stared at her because I had never promised them anything. But the look in her eyes, wild, angry, desperate, told me there was a deeper betrayal ahead. A betrayal I hadn't uncovered yet. A betrayal still waiting in the dark. The word hung there, sharp and poisonous. Promised. Aunt Martha's voice cracked with anger. as she tried to claw her way out of responsibility. But Reeves signaled for his team to stay silent. He wanted her to keep talking. And she did far more than she intended. She promised us, she repeated, pointing toward the screen, as if I were standing in front of her. Elena your parents told all of us that she'd give it back someday. She said the warehouse wasn't permanent. She said it belonged to the family. My brow tightened. I never said that. Martha's chest rose and fell rapidly, desperation unraveling her composure. You did, she snapped. Years ago, before you had your big career, before you bought your fancy office, you said you were only borrowing the land, that once you had enough money, the family would get it. Reeves watched her closely. Ms. Ward, he said, do you have any proof of this supposed promise? Proof? Martha scoffed. It was a family conversation. Conversations don't need proof. We trusted her. She owes us. And there it was. The truth, beneath everything. The rot at the center of the wound. They didn't think they had taken anything from me. In their minds, they were simply collecting a debt they believed I owed. A debt that never existed. I felt something inside me go cold. Not shaky, not wounded, just cold. A clarity I had never experienced with them before. Martha, I said quietly, that conversation never happened. What did happen was you telling me I'd never make it. You telling my parents I was wasting my life. You telling Lily that I was selfish for choosing a different path. Martha's lips trembled with fury. I did what was best for this family, she hissed. You left. You abandoned them. Someone had to fill your place. Reeves stepped closer to the monitor. So, to fill her place, he said, you encouraged her sister to commit wire fraud, identity theft, and the unauthorized transfer of a federal property. Martha opened her mouth, but nothing came out. He continued, and you coached her through signing the forged digital documents. You sourced the old corporate papers. You identified a predatory buyer. You financially benefited from the sale. My father looked stunned. Martha, is that true? She swallowed hard. Your daughter has been taking advantage of all of us for years. No, Reeves cut in. She hasn't. But you have. My mother clasped her hands together. Wait, we didn't know. We didn't know Martha told Lily to do this. Reeves looked at them evenly. Intent will be evaluated, but ignorance does not eliminate liability. You spent stolen funds. That places you in the circle of benefit. My mother broke down in tears. Lily covered her face with her hands. My father stepped back, as if the air in the room had suddenly thinned. But Martha, she wasn't done yet. She straightened her shoulders. You can't pin this on me, she snapped. Everything we did for Elena. She owed us for raising her. My breath caught. For raising me, I whispered. You weren't even there. You visited on holidays. You gave advice no one asked for. But raise me, no. You resented me. Her face contorted. You were always ungrateful. Everything came easy for you. Jobs, money, recognition. You never had to struggle like the rest of us. I stared at her, stunned by the bitterness spilling out. Easy, I said softly. I worked 2 jobs to get through college. You told my parents I should quit school and face reality. You called my degree worthless. And when I finally succeeded, you decided it belonged to you. Because you wouldn't share, she shot back. You hoarded everything. Your success, your resources, your buildings, your money. You built that warehouse like a monument to yourself, locked up, hidden, as if you expected us to beg for scraps. Reeves glanced toward his team. Document that he instructed. She is explicitly stating motive for the fraudulent transfer. Martha realized too late what she had done. No, that's not what I meant. But Lily interrupted. Aunt Martha, you said Elena abandoned us. You said she owed us. And you said the sale was payback for everything we'd done for her. Martha lunged toward the camera. Lily, stop talking. But Lily couldn't stop now. Mom and Dad didn't even want to do it at first. She cried. You pushed it. You said Elena never appreciated their sacrifices. You said selling the warehouse was justice. Justice. Another poisoned word. Another twisted weapon. My father looked horrified. Martha, we trusted you. She opened her mouth, shut it, opened it again, but nothing she said could undo the damage. Behind me, the tactical feed chimed again. Final sweep complete. Facility secured. All unauthorized individuals detained. Reeves turned back to me. Ms. Ward, he said, we'll need a full statement tomorrow. But for now, you're cleared. My chest rose in a long, slow breath. Relief, exhaustion, a quiet ending to the longest night of my life. But the screen in front of me remained frozen on the villa, my family staring back at me, frightened, exposed, angry. Elena, my mother whispered. What happens next? I looked at her, really looked. And for the first time, I felt absolutely nothing. Next, I said softly. Next, the law takes over. But what none of them understood yet, what would hit them like a tidal wave in just a few hours, was that the financial fallout hadn't even begun. And when it did, they would lose far more than their freedom. They would lose everything they built, everything they loved, everything they thought I owed them. Morning arrived, not with peace, but with consequences. By the time the sun rose over the East Coast, the federal paperwork had already begun. Warrants, asset freeze notices, financial tracing orders, everything moving like a slow, unstoppable tide. I didn't see my family again until noon, when Reeves asked me to join a conference call. Not to confront them, that part was already done, but to formally hear the legal fallout. The screen split into two windows, me on one side, and on the other, my parents, exhausted and hollow-eyed. Lily, pale and shaking, and Aunt Martha, furious, silent, cornered. A federal financial analyst spoke first. Following the fraudulent sale of Ms. Ward's property, he said, Harbor and Pine Holdings has filed a civil claim for the return of the full purchase amount, $350,000. My mother exhaled shakily. But we don't have that money anymore. The analyst didn't blink. Then the court will seize equivalent assets. My father's face collapsed into his hands. Our house, he whispered. They're going to take our house. For a brief moment, a very human moment, I felt something shift inside me. A soft echo of sympathy, a memory of childhood dinners in that living room, of Christmas mornings, of running down the hall with bare feet on wooden floors. But the memory dissolved as quickly as it formed, because the truth remained. They had taken from me without hesitation, without remorse, without even asking. The analyst continued. Additionally, Ms. Ward's parents must repay $70,000 spent from the fraudulent funds. And Ms. Lily Ward, he turned pages, is liable for federal restitution fines. The preliminary estimate is $200,000. My mother let out a strangled cry. Lily broke into sobs. My father stared, empty, defeated. And Martha, she lifted her chin as if she still held authority. This is absurd, she snapped. Elena has money. She could pay all of this today and make it disappear. The room inside the command office went still. I looked directly at her. Martha, I said quietly, I am not paying for the consequences of crimes you orchestrated. She scoffed. Oh, please. You think you got here on your own. Everything you have, your education, your opportunities came from this family. You owe us. The entitlement in her voice was staggering. But before I could respond, Reeves stepped in. For the record, he said, Ms. Ward owes none of you anything. She is the victim of this incident, not the cause. My father slammed his hand against the table. Elena, you can't let them take our house. We're your parents. We supported you all your life. I met his eyes. When I asked softly, he froze. When I worked 2 jobs to pay my tuition, when I slept in my car for 3 months because you said I needed to learn responsibility, when you refused to co-sign my first lease, because Lily wanted a new car, when you missed every graduation, every award ceremony, every milestone, but always claimed credit for raising me. My mother shook her head, tears streaming. We did our best. No, I said gently. You did what was easy. You believed whatever Martha told you. And now you're living the consequences. Lily sobbed harder. Elena, please, they're going to put me in prison. Reeves spoke again. Ms. Lily Ward has been offered a plea agreement. If she cooperates fully, she will serve 5 years. Lily's breath hitched. 5 years. Martha snapped. You can't do this to her. Reeves turned to her. She did this to herself. And so did you. He handed me a folder. Ms. Ward, this clears you of all involvement. You are free to leave, Vassal. I nodded slowly, but before the call disconnected, my mother whispered, Elena, don't you believe in forgiveness? We're still your family. I considered the question, not with anger, not with hate, just with honesty. Yes, I said softly, I believe in forgiveness, but forgiveness doesn't mean paying the price for someone else's choices. It doesn't mean letting the same people hurt me again. And it doesn't mean rescuing those who never once protected me. Their faces broken, stunned, pleading stayed on the screen for a single frozen moment. Then the call ended. The screen went black. And for the first time in my life, so did their control over me. 3 months later, the court filed its final ruling. My parents lost their home. Lily began her 5-year sentence. A warrant was issued for Martha, who disappeared across state lines. Harbor and Pine Holdings collapsed under federal investigation. And me, I bought the old downtown office building the failing company left behind, renovated it, expanded my team, built something stronger than the ruins they left me, something that belonged to me and only me. Because surviving what your family does to you is only the beginning. Rebuilding yourself afterward, that is where the real story begins.